TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, Israel reportedly conducts numerous airstrikes against military and Iranian proxy installations in Syria. Iranian-backed Houthis launch a number of ballistic missiles and explosive drones towards Saudi Arabia. Libya's Turkish-backed government of national accord reveals that it coordinates with the United States on the ground in light of Russia's growing military involvement. Israeli aircraft have allegedly conducted 3 separate aerial strikes in Syria last night, devastating both Iranian proxy and Syrian military installations. The first bombardment occurred 17 minutes after 9 p.m. when unidentified aircraft fired several missiles from separate locations toward a number of Iranian installations housing Shiite militias adjacent to Kabaj and separately the As-Suhna Deir ez-Zor M20 and 7 road, both of which are situated in a rural region of the eastern part of the war-torn country. At least 5 Shiite militiamen were reportedly killed, while dozens of others sustained injuries. It is important to mention that the attack occurred after reports confirmed that earlier that morning, an Iranian arms shipment was transferred to the installations in question. Meanwhile, Syria's aerial defense array was activated against the unidentified aircraft, which Damascus was quick to classify as Israeli. And while dozens of Syrian surface-to-air missiles were fired, no interceptions were reported. Consequently, less than 1 hour later, another separate airstrike was reported when the unidentified aircraft appeared in Syria's eastern countryside of Asweda. In what local sources refer to as a multifaceted bombardment of surface-to-surface and air-to-surface strikes, several Syrian and Iranian installations were targeted, including a military communications and radar center from which the anti-aircraft batteries were earlier activated. At least 2 Syrian Air Force troops were reportedly killed, while a number of others, including Iranian proxy militiamen, were reportedly injured. Subsequently, another aerial strike was reported some 45 minutes after midnight near the towns of Salamiyah and Subura, which are situated in the rural countryside of Hama Governorate. Extensive damage was reportedly caused to Syrian military and Iranian militia installations, which serve as weapons and ammunition depots. While local sources confirmed that ambulances were heard rushing to the site of the explosions, TV7 was unable to corroborate reports of casualties. In response to TV7's request for comment, the Israeli military refused to confirm nor deny its alleged responsibility. Meanwhile, in the Syrian capital, Foreign Minister Walid al-Muallim complained over economic sanctions that were imposed by the European Union and separately by the United States against the Damascus regime as a blatant attempt to oust President Bashar al-Assad. Speaking at a press briefing, al-Muallim claimed that the sanctions were a blatant attempt to force Assad out of office.
الرئيس الأسد سيبقى طالما الشعب السوري يريده أن يبقى. وكل إذا كنت أدق هدف هذا القانون هو التأثير على الانتخابات الرئاسية القادمة. ومن يقول غير ذلك يخطئ.
While Syria has already been under crippling EU and US sanctions, Washington announced last week a series of new economic measures against 39 individuals and entities. Among others, the newly imposed American sanctions may freeze assets of anyone dealing with Syria, regardless of nationality, effectively ratcheting up pressure on the country's few remaining allies. Nevertheless, the Damascus top diplomat voiced confidence in Syria's capacity to persevere.
التحديات ليست سهلة، لكن أقول ليست صعبة، مستحيلة. التحديات بدأنا بإجراءات من شأنها التصدي لهذه العقوبات، وبدأنا بحوار مع أصدقائنا وحلفائنا الذين رفضوا تنفيذ هذا القانون من أجل تعميق العلاقات الثنائية بيننا.
Among the so-called friends and allies, the top Syrian diplomat referred to is the Islamic Republic of Iran, which reportedly condemned the United States and Europe for imposing sanctions on Syria. Nevertheless, in light of the crippling sanctions regime imposed against Tehran itself, the Ayatollah regime has used the limited resources at its disposal to support its proxies across the region, including numerous militias fighting for the survival of the Assad regime. In other yet related news, the Iranian-backed Houthis in Yemen have reportedly conducted yet another attack on Saudi Arabia. According to the kingdom's-led coalition in Yemen, 3 ballistic missiles were successfully intercepted over the Saudi cities of Najran and Jizan. Furthermore, sources confirm that another interception was successful over the capital Riyadh, and separately 8 drones that were loaded with explosives were also shot down. Meanwhile, the Iranian-backed Houthis claimed responsibility for this attack. In a statement by their spokesman, they also evidently confessed to using Iranian-produced missiles and drones.
فقد دكت صواريخنا من نوع قدس وذي الفقار وطائرات صماد 3 المسيرة مجرات ومراكز عسكرية في عاصمة العدو السعودي، منها وزارة الدفاع، الاستخبارات العسكرية، قاعدة سلمان الجوية، ومواقع عسكرية في جيزان ونجران.
As earlier mentioned, the claims by the Houthi rebels of successfully striking their intended targets are false. Turning now to Tehran, where the Iranian national currency hit yet another all-time low against the US dollar, despite efforts by the regime's central bank to stem the decline. The rial has lost 70% of its value in the past year, primarily due to the Ayatollah regime's unyielding efforts to advance an expansionist regional policy, develop its ballistic missile and nuclear programs, which consequently forced the United States to impose crippling sanctions on the country of 80 million residents. And while Tehran continues to blame Washington for refusing to alleviate the maximum economic pressure campaign, which demands of the Ayatollah regime to immediately change its course of action, the ones suffering the most are the Iranian people.
هرچی بیشتر بخرم گرونتر هم میشه و اگه گرون هم که تمام رو جنسا تو همه چیز اثر میذاره دیگه دلار میره بالا همه چی هم میره بالا قیمتا میره بالا خب گرونی باشه واسه مردم گرونی میشه دیگه بالاخره مردم به سختی به زندگی میکنن دیگه تمام چیز تاثیر میذاره اونی که بخواد چیزی هم که بخواد بخره چون دلار میره بالا نمیتونه چیزی که خواستش برآورده بشه نمیتونه بخره اونی که دلار رو همه چی تاثیر میذاره بس که به عرضه و تقاضا داره ولی خب با همین حال فعلا رو به بالاست دلار.
Despite the growing economic consequences of the regime's actions, Tehran defiantly seeks to garner international support against the United States. Among others, Iranian Foreign Minister Muhammad Javad Zarif traveled to Istanbul last week, during which he held a meeting with his Turkish counterpart Mevlut Cavusoglu. In a joint press conference, the Turkish top diplomat voiced support for the Islamic Republic of Iran and stressed Turkey's position in which it stands against America's unilateral sanctions on Iran. Minister Cavusoglu also seized the opportunity to reject reports of a fallout between Turkey and Russia vis-à-vis disagreements over Syria and Libya, respectively.
Dolayısıyla temel prensipler konusunda yani Ruslarla görüşmelerimizde herhangi bir sıkıntı yok. Bazı işte sizin kastettiğinizde o sanırım işte şu sebepten bu sebepten masa işte sallandı öyle bir şey yok. Ama bu sefer kalıcı bir ateşkes ve bizi yani Libya'yı siyasi sürece götürebilecek bir süreç. Bunun da detaylarını biraz daha konuşmamız lazım.
Meanwhile, in Moscow, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov noted that he held phone conversations with Turkish Foreign Minister Mevlut Cavusoglu and separately with Egyptian Foreign Minister Samih Shoukry, during which he highlighted that he does not see any options other than an immediate ceasefire for Libya.
Среди моих контактов телефонных последние несколько дней были и разговоры и с министром иностранных дел Турции, и с министром иностранных дел Египта. И тот, и другой, мой коллега, однозначно высказался в пользу именно такого подхода. Отсутствие военного решения необходимо всем признать. Надо садиться за стол переговоров и искать общеприемлемые договоренности.
The statement by the top Russian diplomat comes as the warring sides in Libya are reportedly mobilizing near the city of Sirte, which is situated in the main oil region of the country. Meanwhile, in Libya's capital Tripoli, the Deputy Defense Minister of the Government of National Accord, or GNA, Salah al-Namroush, revealed that alongside the backing of Turkey, the United States, by means of its military's Africa Command, is coordinating with the GNA on the ground.
يوجد تحرك بعد تم رصد عدد هذه الطائرات التي تهبط، وواضح أن في تدخل في الشأن الليبي، فكان في تحرك من الولايات المتحدة وأصبح الآن ملحوظ. طبعا تركيا كدولة عظمى وحليف لنا، وهي تعتبر عضو في حلف الناتو، ولدينا معها شراكة استراتيجية، فيوجد هناك تنسيق أمريكي تركي في هذا المجال.
It is important to know that U.S. Ambassador to Libya Richard Norland, accompanied by U.S. AFRICOM Commander General Stephen Townsend, held a meeting with GNA President Fayed al-Sarraj on Monday, during which they relayed Washington's strong opposition to escalating foreign military intervention on all sides. The U.S. Africa Command noted in a public statement that it previously conducted engagements with both the Government of National Accord and the Libyan National Army. Nevertheless, neither the U.S. State Department nor the U.S. military's Africa Command immediately responded to TV7's request for comment on the extent of the American involvement. Thank you for watching us. As part of TV7's Global Prayer Initiative, I would like to encourage you today to join myself and the team here in Jerusalem to pray for the salvation and peace of Japan, alongside our ongoing prayers, of course, for the peace of Jerusalem, salvation of Israel, as well as for all those who are impacted by the corona contagion worldwide. I'm Jonathan Hassan. Have an Erev Tov, and we will see you again tomorrow at the same time.